Laurie Huston's News for the Heart is dedicated to helping you give a voice to your own soul. Our hearts have the power to free us from pain and the struggles that keep us from awakening to our true essence. Join Laurie now as we delve into our heart and soul to find the path that will open us to the possibilities and lead us to the life we love to live.
And good afternoon. This is News for the Heart. And today I have my awesome co-host, Tracy McBurney, with me. We're going to do we're going to play a little bit. We're going to go back to the last show where I had some difficulties with my, I don't know if circulation, if we want to call it, I don't know what we want to call it, but we did some work around it. I did make some changes and it's gotten a little bit better, but it's still there. So we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to look at some interesting frequency stuff that Tracy has been working with. So welcome to the show, Trace.
Thank you. Okay, I was waiting for that. I thought, okay, where's the giggle? Where's the laugh? I'm showing up for that.
Yeah.
Listen, it's good. It brings me to joy. So it's all good.
Nice.
Okay, so yeah, we were talking about your leg. We were talking about, we were talking about some different choices that you made and some success that you were having, but yes, clearly not fully resolved. And yet. I just sat in that concept of flow. I just sat in the problem, and it just felt like, the word that came was resistance. You had spoken about, should I take a supplement to increase circulation?
Right.
And that didn't feel right. It didn't feel like a supplement was what was
needed,
being asked for. And so I just kind of sat with that, sat with the body, sat with the problem, sat with the universe, sat with it all, sat in the empty space, in the void space and the nothingness space. And the first thing that came in was the word resistance. And I kind of thought about that, and I just kind of sat with that. And then it just felt like the first thing to start with is resistance to letting go of resistance.
Right.
I thought that was kind of funny. Yeah. The resistance to letting go of resistance.
Yeah, it sounds like me.
and that really can say the need to be in battle, like the need to be in battle, like how many, and we didn't talk about this, but I feel since we're on the show now, it's kind of a good thing to bring forward, is how many battles we are actually in. Mm-hmm. You know, what are we battling? What are we fighting with? What are we resisting?
Yeah.
What are we just not letting exist while we exist? Right. And yeah, so that's, I think, where that came from, the resistance to not letting go of resistance, at which point I landed in the word flow. Yeah. And it felt like more than circulation, like I get circulation, flow, I get that, but it felt like, no, the conversation where we really needed our consciousness was in this idea of flow. And then I just sat there and I let the whole thing expand. And as the whole thing expanded, I just kind of went, oh yeah. Yeah, that contracting, that resistance, that fighting, that battle, there's chaos, there's conflict, there's all of this energy, and now I can't be in flow. Right. And I just sat with that. And I said, okay, all right, yeah, I get that. I'm sitting with whatever that was that I was reading. I was compassionately sitting with that. Well, okay, that's a way. That's a way. That's a choice.
It's not a great choice,
but there's always a choice to be in flow.
Right. Yeah.
There's always a choice to be in flow, and there's always a choice to be not in flow. Mm-hmm. And I can see how there's all this conflict and all this chaos and this anger over here, and I can see how that can create contraction, and I can see how that can create just kind of a need to just kind of insulate and scrunch up, but I can also recognize a concept of, okay, maybe I don't know how to continue to flow here. Maybe it doesn't even feel safe to flow here. Right. But wow, if it could be possible, it could be possible. Like bring in the possibility of, okay, there's chaos here. Okay, there's conflict here. Okay, some people are yelling over there. I can still be in flow. My blood can still flow freely through my body. My lymph can still flow freely through my body. My fluids, my interstitial fluid can still flow freely through my body. I can still be in flow. I can still allow my life to flow. Well, clearly there's all this battling going on over here. And clearly there's all this chaos swirling around me. But I can still be in flow. I can choose to be in flow still with this universe. I can choose still to be in flow with this cosmos, in flow with this earth. I can choose that. And I can be in that. And I can align with that. So that's all going on out there. Mm-hmm. And I am here in my flow. And so we were doing that, and we went back to that same in allowance decree that I love that we were talking to. That's my new favorite decree, in allowance of. An allowance of the possibility that even though there is all this chaos and all this battling and all this anger and all this upset and all this stuff around me and all this stuff on the news, I can still exist here in flow. I can still be flowing with this universe, with this cosmos, with this earth. I can still allow for my liver to have beautiful flowing communication with my stomach, with all of the different places of my digestive system. I can still allow these cells in my brain to flow beautifully and connect beautifully with all of these other cells in my brain. I can still allow for all of that to occur. I can still allow for all systems in my body to flow beautifully, even though all of that is happening. It does not have to impede the flow of any one of my systems. I don't have to take all of that in. I don't have to be a part of all of that. I don't have to let it be a part of me. I don't have to let it disorganize my cells, disorder my thinking, hijack, what my husband say, poison my heart. Lose myself, my true self in all of that. I can still be me. Flowing.
Yeah. I was going to say, who is me? But yes.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I wonder.
So we got there, and that felt really good. It felt like everything started to calm down, and everything, it was like, wow, you started to take in that possibility. And I love that decree because it really just changes. It's like it downloads a new master folder when you're bringing in something positive. When you just get this wake up call that says, oh wow, I don't have to behave like this. I don't have to make this choice. Wow, okay, I'm bringing in a different choice. Which means I'm giving myself permission to behave differently, see things differently, be impacted and affected differently, including being not impacted or affected at all by what's going on here, over here, or over here, over here. That's them battling. That's them in their battle. I'm choosing to not be in battle with myself today. I'm choosing to not be in battle with anybody else today. I'm choosing to just be in a more peaceful place. So I'm not resisting that. I'm not judging that. I'm just looking, going, okay, that's them battling.
And that's their choice.
And they don't even know maybe that there's a different choice.
Right.
They don't know that transformation can happen differently than they're creating. They don't know that transformation can actually be a very peaceful thing.
And I guess part of me didn't know because I was still battling it.
Yeah, but it's an interesting, we didn't even bring up that word, but I think that's exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
It's like, no. We're in this big change. There's lots changing. Oh my God, there has to be battle. There has to be war. There has to be chaos. There has to be conflict. This is a great change that's going on. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay. But does it have to be that way? And there are women who will describe giving birth to children where they would describe it as the most glorious event. The most glorious event, the easiest event. Like everything just slid beautifully, created next to no pain. It was just like it was that whole transition from that child being where that was to that child being delivered was just so smooth, so amazing, so miraculous, so, divinely created. Yeah. So different than anything that they'd seen on any television show. And then they just sit there and say, I was so blessed. I was so blessed that I didn't have to go through any of that. I was so blessed that it didn't show up like that for me. Well, we're all part of this great change. Or what I call part of this great revealing, rather than this great reset.
That's a much better word, yes.
Yeah, this great revealing of the truth of us. The truth of us as light beings. The truth of us as energy beings. The truth of us as masters. And it does not have to be a battle. And we do not have to be engaged with all these old stories. Mm-hmm. And we don't have to heal all these old stories, and we don't have to battle in all of these old stories, and we don't have to struggle the way that we've been struggling. It can be as simple as choosing to no longer be in that old story and to just be the truth of myself, to just bring that true self into the foreground. Yeah. Right up on the desktop, so to speak. I liked when Rika Zimmerman spoke about the 6 divine truths. And the 6th one is a lot of the times I'm moving the 6th divine truth, or how she categorizes it. No, that was the last one. I'm moving that to number 1 when I'm working with a lot of people now and delivering these. It was profound when she said it. You, like as in capital Y-O-U, capital big U, the big I.
Right.
You are already here. So sit with that. You are already here. That greater you that you might have been taking classes to know and classes to uncover, that greater you is already here. And it never needed to take a class. The greater you never needed to take a class in any of this. You are already here. And you've always been here. Yeah. And it gives an explanation for what you see sometimes in little children and what you see sometimes in little infants. You go, wow.
They're really here.
Like, wow, they're really here. Like, holy crap, who is this child? And it's like you can see the truth of the fact that they are already here, contained in those small bodies. So when I really get that now, and I really get that, who am I to tell you anything? I'm sitting in the presence of a master.
Who doesn't always recognize it.
Right? But who am I to tell you anything? And so it's a really important, humbling thing to recognize it doesn't matter whether I'm sitting with a client who's 15 or 10 or 8 or 5 or 55 or 70. I'm sitting in the presence of a master light being that might be so hidden away in stories and so contained in stories within the wholeness of them.
Yeah.
So smothered by those stories. But it doesn't change the fact that if we look at you as in wholeness as that giant chocolate chip cookie, there is an illuminated you in the back of that chocolate chip cookie.
Does that mean I can eat the cookies to get to me?
Don't you love the analogy as I'm sitting as the nutritionist? Let's just talk about chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah.
Well, you could eat the stories.
I just rather demolish them. Sure. Blow them up.
Yeah, but it's so it's an interesting piece, right? And so when you sit, I love when you sat there and you just took that in, and your words back to me were, "Wow, that's freeing," and it is.
Yeah.
You are already here. There's no course that you need to take ever.
It's just always so easy to forget, right?
And so then it's just allowing, like, just in this moment, if you think of, like, there's the chocolate chip cookie of your wholeness with this screen door of stories, like screen door of material of stories that just enmeshed right into the cookie. And the stories that have not been healed are creating like vibrations in these chocolate chips in this cookie. So you see like just these several chocolate chips within the cookie that are just vibrating and kind of freaking out. You're going, oh, something's not at rest. And at the back of that chocolate chip cookie, just a luminescent light that we're not accessing because we're so freaking busy connecting to the stories, trying to heal the stories, staying in the stories, in battle, in war, trying to get somebody else to see our point of view, trying to get somebody else to change their mind, trying to get somebody to see our worth, see our value, see our worthiness, love us, care for us, wake up. We're just so busy doing that we don't ever get back there to connect with that light of us, to draw from that light of us, to allow that light at the back of that chocolate chip cookie to just come right in to where those chocolate chips are kind of going freaking out, bringing that light from behind right into those chips. And nobody told us that we can just change it. We can just change it. And today we can just change it. We can just do it differently. We can move the light of us from behind. We can jump right over the stories and allow the light of us to be in the front of our chocolate chip cookie, not in the back of it. Because the light of us is part of our wholeness. And the stories have become part of our wholeness. And now we're just flipping it.
I like that.
A choice to not be immersed in stories. You know, if this woman talking is actually onto something and there's a light in the back of my chocolate chip cookie of wholeness that I don't ever get to or access because it's in the back and I just get so wrapped up in the stories, and I can make a choice just to flip that and bring that light front and center ahead of the stories. And for 5 minutes, just allow myself to feel So instead of feeling all the stories, which was happening all the time, you're feeling all these stories. I'm just going to allow myself to feel me. The truth of me. Ahead of the stories. And then maybe I'll do something really interesting because my imagination can do all sorts of wonderful things. And I'll say to myself, let me experiment with this. I'm going to allow all the stories that got enmeshed in my chocolate chip cookie of wholeness. I'm going to allow all of those stories just to find their way energetically into that corner of my room. That corner. Specifically that corner. So all the energy of all the emotions, all the belief systems, everything, all the programming, everything that's part of the stories that have defined me, told me what my identity was, all of that stuff into the corner for 5 minutes. Pulling it right out of the chocolate chip cookies of me. I'll get back to it. I'll get back to it. Be right there, safely contained in the corner, making it easier for me just to be me, just to be in the light of me, just to recognize the light of me and expand the light of me in this body, and just allowing for that expansion. Giving myself that 5 minutes just to feel me and expand me. And breathing, really important in all of this breathing. Because you're letting the body know what it is that you're doing as you're breathing. And how much easier it is. See how much easier it is to expand you out when you're breathing. And now you're just feeling this and connecting with you. Now, as you're here, is there anything that you're battling with? No. Is there a self-worth issue here? If you're feeling any self-worth issue, you haven't let go of all the story. So let any of that go right into the corner. Okay, it just means there's some little thing that you just haven't let go of that's not letting you just be fully in your light. And that's okay. We're just letting that go into the corner. That could be an entity, that could be something. We're just letting it all go into the corner. So you can just be with you. Just for a few minutes, just purely being with you. As you're sitting with you, any worries? Everything okay? Feel connected?
Definitely.
Is there any judgment of your conscious mind or your unconscious or any portion of mind that has not recognized you or seen you? Is there any judgment of any of your minds?
I don't think so.
Does it feel like there's any judgment?
I didn't think so.
I'm not picking up any. Yeah, I'm not picking up any.
Okay.
But it would be, and if there were, that it's just a reflection of, there's a little bit more screen door material of story that I haven't quite let go of. And these things could be identity. They could be so locked into identity that your gut brain's holding on to them because your gut brain will hold on to identity at all cost. So we need to get your beautiful divine light connecting right into gut brain to make sure gut brain is very clear that these stories, any of these stories, any emotion, any story is not your identity. And making sure that gut brain is very clear that this is you, this is who you are, and your identity is a frequency. Your identity is a collective of frequencies. Your identity is color. Your identity is your own beautiful imprint of color and frequency. That it's almost like you are an energy blueprint. And so your identity is not an emotion. It's not a story. It's not a program. It's not a thought. It's not a belief.
Makes it simpler, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am my own specific color spectrum. I am my own unique color spectrum. I am my own unique collection of frequencies. I am my own energy. I am my own unique energy. And I'm starting to feel what it feels like to be me. Me in my purest form. And now before we release you from this exercise, just get this vision if you shut your eyes, thinking of yourself now as this beautiful, beautiful light being that's just coming out in the front of the chocolate chip cookie of your wholeness and expanding out. And now just see one side closest to the corner of the room that you put all your story in. And just allow that light portion of you off to that side, almost like an arm reaching out, an octopus arm of your light reaching out to touch those stories. You have connection to source. You are direct relationship to source at that light level. And so as you allow your light to be a part of all of that, stories start to dissolve. Stories start to change. Stories start to morph because your light is now coming in. Your wisdom is now coming in. The frequency of you is now being joined. So you are bringing healing to some things. You are bringing light to things. You are bringing perspective. You are bringing light to darkness and shadow. And you are also saying without words, I am here. I am here. Source energy is here. So it starts to really crumble away these illusions of separation. Because source energy working with you, through you, is announcing its presence into these stories. Now, is that going to improve some flow? I think so.
Yeah, it's really powerful. It's really powerful.
And so now we're just letting go. We've finished our 5-minute exercise. We're just letting go. We've changed some things in that corner. We're allowing stories to leave, to return back to source. It's not in our highest and best interest to hold on to these stories now that we know more of the truth of us. And it's not highest and best interest to hold on to these stories. If there isn't more for us to learn or know or explore in connection with these stories, and that this would be the best right way to do that, then we're allowing for those stories to just find their way back to source. Or find their way back to us. To the chocolate chip cookie of wholeness that is us. And the moment that we're bringing stories back into the chocolate chip cookie, it's like you start to lose that connection to the light of you. It starts to dim that connection to the light of you as you start to become more engrossed in what has been believed to be the truth. And maybe you can feel that happening.
A little bit.
But all is not lost, because then you can say to yourself, that's it. I've really had enough of being in this story today. I'm jumping right out of this story and I'm going right to be back with myself. And maybe I'm going to do this exercise again and I'm going to put story into that. And I'm going to do that for another 5 minutes today. And I'm going to put all that story and all that emotion and all that stuff that's come in from the last 5,000, I'm going to put it all in the corner. And then I'm going to go touch it. and the brilliant me is going to go reach over there and start to change it and start to dissolve it. While I am with myself, reminding myself of the truth. There is no self-worth issue here. There's no self-esteem issue here. There's no lovability issue here in the truth of me and the light of me. All of that stuff is illusion. And I am here. I am here.
I like that. It's simple. It's powerful. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Keep it simple, smarty. No, so listen, it's just like it can get very overwhelming stepping into this world of energy medicine these days. Incredibly overwhelming. And it just seems like as it gets more overwhelming, I just want to go simpler and simpler and simpler. And then won't it be nice? Won't it be nice when you're just sitting in the wholeness of you? And mostly every day, you're just accessing the truth of you. Accessing the truth of you that has no issue with anything. That is here to be, that is here to love, that is here to bring joy, that is here to laugh, that is here to experience, that is here to create, that is here to innovate, that is here to help to change some things for humanity. Did it feel like that you, when you connected to the truth of you, did it feel like that you was interested in doing battle?
No, not at all. No, everything's always perfect when I make that connection. It's like, oh, life is beautiful. Life is love.
Yeah. And then we forget.
We forget.
Then we forget and we go right back into the story and we go right back into the battle and we go right back into the chaos and we go right back into contracting and not being in flow.
So easy to forget. So easy to get lost in the
stories. And they're very powerful stories.
Oh, yeah.
Really powerful stories.
Yeah.
And we can be very hijacked in them, and our ego can be very hijacked in them, and our egos can be very much, holding on and clinging for what is right and justice and, Okay, we were also talking, when we were talking about flow, I was in a class, a small class, woman by the name of Kathy, I hope I get her name pronounced right, Hohmeyer, Hohmeyer. So I began my journey as, if there is such thing as a traditional holistic nutritionist, I began my journey about 25 years ago, stepping into my office as that. And she was teaching a class and stepping forward to deliver us, I guess what she would be calling a master class. And she was calling it cosmic nutrition. Mm-hmm. And totally hooked me in that concept. I thought, all right, I need to find out what this woman is doing and what she's saying. Cosmic nutrition. I love it. So she's all about frequency. And one of the things that she's doing is she's doing voice prints for people. Like she's working with software that is actually reading what's going on with somebody's voice. And that is telling them the highs and the lows of what's going on in somebody's voice is telling them a lot about what's going on with somebody physically.
Okay.
It was another reason why I stepped in to be in her class, because that hugely felt right to me. For the last 3 years or so, my husband's had some vocal issues. He's a singer. But he's also had some tone issues in his voice, and it has been bothering me for the last several years. I would say to him sometimes, your voice is telling me something. It's telling you something. It's not right. There's stuff going on in your voice. There's a graveliness. There's a mucus. There's just things that are not right about your voice. And your voice is telling us this, and I don't know how to read it. And yet I just knew my ears could hear it. And so when she talked about voice printing, I went, yes. And she's actually doing some work with a woman by the name of Sherry Edwards. And Sherry Edwards, I think, is a very interesting person to know. from a science perspective. I think we're going to hear a lot from this woman in future. So she is a person that doesn't need a machine. She literally has such a finely tuned sense of hearing that she can tell anybody what's going on with them from a physical perspective, psychospiritual perspective, just from what's going on with the highs and lows and tones and pitches of their voices. Cool. And she doesn't even need a machine. In fact, she's been creating software to kind of mimic how she actually operates inside of her own brain.
Cool.
So she's kind of, I believe it's sherryedwards.com if you ever want to kind of look her up. And Sherry is Sherry, I believe. Anyway, this Kathy, she gave us a couple of cool things. She gave us a couple of frequency pieces in her cosmic nutrition. One of them, which I thought was very relevant to what we were doing with flow, and bring in the possibility for your capacity to flow, even though all this chaos is reigning in battle everywhere. I'm just going to continue to flow. I'm just going to continue to flow. You guys can do what you want. I'm just going to continue to flow. And so she called it life functional frequency. So a frequency sequence of numbers. So this one is a sequence where they're all connected, no spaces. And you just say them, each one of them individually, or you can write this on a piece of paper and actually put it in your pocket. So apparently that has the same kind of effect. If you're doing this by listening to yourself, or if you're repeating it in your head, she suggests looking at doing that 7 times in a row. So the frequency line for life functional frequency is, I'll read out the numbers for you, and maybe you can say them in your head. We've already given it to you once, and you can see where that goes. All right, so 9, 8, 2, 7, 9, 5, 8, 7, 6, 5, 8. So this life functional frequency is supposed to be able to then help reorder things that have become disorganized, like reorganize, reorder, recalibrate. I'm going to repeat it again. 9, 8, 2, 7, 9, 5, 8, 7, 6, 5, 8.
Wonder what it means when both times I was writing it of the 7, I couldn't complete the 7.
That would be where a disorder is. That would be where switching is, right? 9, 8, 2, 7, 9, 5, 8, 7, 6, 5, 8. 9, 8, 2, 7, 9, 5, 8, 7, 6, 5, 8. Take a breath. Let the brain know that things are changing. Let the brain assess where the changes are happening. 9, 8, 2, 7, 9, 5, 8, 7, 6, 5, 8. 9, 8, 2, 7, 9, 5, 8, 7, 6, 5, 8. 9, 8, 2, 7, 9, 5, 8, 7, 6, 5, 8. Now, what's interesting is, and I know you need to talk for a second, I have to get water. So it's a real reminder that this is frequency work, this is energy work. It might seem pretty,
benign because it's
benign. And I could you feel some of the areas in your body that were actually being impacted by this?
Definitely.
I feel stuff happening at my temporal lobe of my brain. I could feel something happening in the place, I'd say above my heart, might be lung, and somewhere just below thymus. So just in that whole sternum area, I could feel something being impacted. Holy man. Okay, so then I'm going to watch that. If this is about order and organization and recalibrating, then I'm just going to be observing. I'm a pretty observant person anyway of my ridiculousness as well as my business. So it'll just be interesting to see where that goes. Okay, I don't necessarily think that it's a good thing to be doing the immune system boosting assistance right now, since we just did this one. I feel like this one just needs to ground out. But I'm going to give it to you. And this one is different in the sense that the numbers have a space in between them. So she called this immune system boosting assistance. And I'm just going to leave a space where there is a space. So I'm not going to say the word space. I'm just going to leave space. 3, 6. 1, 1, 9, 2. 4, 8. 1, 0. 2, 2. 1, 5. 8. Now, even as I repeat that, so this is like the second time I've said it, because I said it to you earlier before the show. This is the second time. I can feel stuff shifting in my lung area. Mm. And I'll give you one more that I haven't played with yet. I'll give you two more, actually. This one I loved and I haven't played with it. So this is a sequence that has no spaces. And she called it self-love and respect. So you ready? Mm-hmm. Okay, it's all one thread. Take a deep breath. Okay. 4, 8, 4, 6, 4, 4, 5, 2, 5, 4, 6. Okay, I'm yawning, and that was very interesting to feel this. As I'm reading this and saying the numbers, I felt it in my nose.
Your nose.
I felt it in my nose. And then I started to yawn, but it was interesting because everything that I was feeling before that was all chest related. Mm. And this one went right up to my nose. Now they do say that ego is in the nose.
Really?
Yeah. Mind you, ego is everywhere.
Yeah.
But they do say that there's some importance to how we feel about things or see things in connection to ego. What the nose looks like and where the nose goes. Makes a little sense. Anyway, it was interesting that that's where I felt it. Okay, and that would again be a repeating of 7 times. Or writing that on a piece of paper, holding that, putting that in a pocket if you feel like that's a real issue. Writing that on a piece of paper, putting it in 4 corners of a room when you're trying to make sure that whatever the talk is that you're doing that day, difficult, maybe challenging talk between relatives or whatever, that you've literally put those numbers in 4 places in the room, in the corners, with the idea that you want those frequencies to be helpful.
Nice. Good for the holidays coming up.
Yeah. Okay, and the other one is compassion. Again, compassion is this big line of numbers, no spaces. Okay, you ready? Mm-hmm. Take a deep breath. Okay. 9, 1, 5, 7, 3, 8, 6, 7, 4, 6, 9.
Well, I must have reorganized well because the 7s were perfect. Maybe it's because it's compassion.
So what did that feel like for you? It felt like just this nice opening. It felt like just this, I don't know, this kind of like just a I don't know, just a releasing off the whole. It was just a nice feeling, just some sort of a lifting
feeling, like a sweet breath, sweet breath.
And here I am yawning. Yeah, it's good. Okay, so those are fun to play with. And I guess people will make their own decisions from that place. I don't see that they're ever going to be doing any harm. Yeah. And it seems that the amount of times to repeat them out loud or in your head, if you're doing that, best results, it looks like, is the number 7. Oh, she gave me frequencies for vitamin C.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought that was interesting because she was literally suggesting that because vitamin C is this really powerful preservative too, that literally if you wanted to keep vegetables or something fresher in your drawer of your kitchen and your fridge, you might want to put these frequency numbers on the place where that food is being kept, with the idea that the vitamin C frequency is going to help to keep things fresher longer. Could also mean that you're putting more of that vitamin C frequency into your own beingness. So again, it's a thread of numbers with no spaces. Okay, tell me when you're ready.
Okay.
4, 7, 6, 8, 7, 8, 4, 1, 6, 8, 9. Did you feel that particularly helpful somewhere, or?
I'm thinking that it's going to be good for my kitten because she's been sneezing a lot. So, and I don't know how to get a kitten to have vitamin C.
Well, that's interesting. Maybe you could put the numbers. You could put these numbers into her water. Mm-hmm. You can also have the intention, like writing that on a piece of paper, staring at that, having the intention that that thread of numbers be transferred into that water for your cat. Now that's when you're working just intentionally and magically. Like I want those numbers transferred there.
Right.
Almost like with Reiki when you're transferring a symbol in second level Reiki. You're just seeing that going right out to that person.
Right. And it could just mean that she's allergic to something, but my feeling was that she needed some vitamin C. And I was thinking, how am I going to get her vitamin C?
Now, that's also interesting because if you want to act like beautifully magically, which I think we can do, we can talk like that. Mm-hmm. Everything's available in the universe.
Sure.
Right? So without even frequency numbers, it's just like with your desire, as long as it's safe, appropriate, highest and best interest, that's what you'd like to bring in. So it's like that's what you like to bring into that water. That's what you'd like to bring into that food.
Yeah.
So frequencies of zinc, frequencies of vitamin C, frequencies of iodine, frequencies of things that you don't even have a concept of that are going to balance blood sugar levels, like bringing frequencies of that into this food.
I like that.
Now, of course, what's interesting is it's a little bit harder for you to test because you don't really want to eat cat food to say, oh, that tastes a little different than the cat food that's over there in that can. But we can do it with water. Like we can do these experiments with water.
Sure.
So you can actually prove to yourself that, yes, this is crazy, but there is something happening here. Where you literally have 2 water dishes that are, or 2 glasses or water dishes that are going to be, one's going to be the baseline and one's going to be the one that's going to be for your cat. And you just have that intention. I have that intention that I'm working with the universe, I'm working with this cosmos, and I only want to do something that's safe and appropriate, highest and best interest for the cat. I'm connecting in with that divine self, that beautiful light being of you that's at the back of the chocolate chip cookie of your wholeness. You're connecting into that aspect of yourself. which means that is the connection to source, right? Your connection to source. And from that place, it's like you're opening your arms to the universe going, okay, bring this in and drop it into that water. You're covering over this one, drop it into that water. So vitamin C into that water. Zinc frequency into that water. And you can test them, like you can muscle test them.
Sure.
You know, what is it that my cat actually needs?
Oh, yeah.
And if you don't know, then it's like, okay, the vet says she's got blood sugar issues. Okay, frequencies within this universe, good for cats, supportive to cat, that are going to be, you know, all of them. Maybe there's 5, 6, you don't know. But the universe knows. Source knows, beings of light know that you're connecting with, and you're literally allowing for those to be dropped into that water.
I like it.
Because I'm magical. Because I'm light being. I'm light being, and everything is light. And I am light being, and I am connected to all of this. And I wish no harm. I wish to do no harm. But I'm sitting here with all of these resources available within this universe. I don't have to purchase them. I can just infuse them. And I don't have to necessarily know what I'm doing. I don't have to know all the frequencies that are needed to balance blood sugar levels. I needed to know certain things. I needed the vet to tell me, maybe, or maybe I was able to douse it for myself, that my cat was having blood sugar issues and blood sugar challenges. And now I'd like some help from this universe to drop those frequencies into that water.
Is that where you're picking up that she has blood sugar frequency?
No,
okay.
no.
I'm just, wait, she's a kitten. How's she done that? Is she picking up on my stuff? Yes, of course she does.
Does your cat have blood sugar issues? Maybe a little.
The kitten or my big girl?
Your kitten, no, your bigger one.
That makes sense.
Yeah, picking up on that.
She never has anything she doesn't get grains or anything in her food, so I don't know how she would she's doing it for me.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, she's doing
all sorts of interesting things can imbalance blood sugar levels.
Yeah.
Worry can imbalance blood sugar levels.
She's stressed.
Stress.
She's a very sensitive, stressed girl.
Right.
Very. And the little one is not helping. I think maybe even adding to a little bit of the stress. Interesting.
Yeah. So we just want to bring in some help.
Yes,
right?
please.
And so then what you can do is you can taste, just like I would do if you were in my office for you. You can taste the baseline water and you'll go, where's this water going? I love studying water. Where's this water going? Take a couple of sips of it, pay attention, shut your eyes. Where's this water going? Oh, interesting, because that water is going to go where you're dehydrated. Now, because this next one is not for you, it's for the cat, we're only going to drink it, a little bit of it, to give you the opportunity to go, holy crap, that's different. That smells different. That tastes a little different. The surfactants of that is different. It's smoother. It's rougher. It's wow, this is crazy. And it's going right into my eyeballs. It didn't go where my dehydration went. It went into my eyeballs. It went into my nose. It went into my ears. It went to my toes. Completely bypassed my stomach. And so then you take a couple of sips of that and go, okay, now I'm seeing this. Now I'm seeing this. This is crazy. This is not going the same place as the water went when I was going to my dehydrated. It's not going the same place at all. It doesn't taste the same. It doesn't sniff the same. It's going to a different place. Wow. I have no explanation for this except I am light being and I am magical. Wow. Okay then. Yeah. And I mean, and again, it's the same way that I worked. Once I've proved it to myself and saw it and saw it and saw it again and saw it with clients, I went, okay, all right. Okay, this is the way it can work. We don't have to buy all of this stuff.
Right.
But sometimes we do. It's interesting. Sometimes we do. Sometimes for reasons that I don't really understand, we have to take that capsule of something. We have to eat that food. You know, it seems like it's just important that it not just be the frequency of basil,
Right.
that it be the taste of it, the smell of it, whatever.
Well.
So anyway, there we are. We kind of had our small little moments with frequency medicine, light medicine, whatever. It's been an interesting.
Yeah. I love this show.
And helpful to your cat, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah, she's been a little stressed. Poor little babies. Yeah. All right. Well, you have been listening to News for the Heart. We've been getting to the heart at what matters with Tracy McBurney. I'm not sure what we're going to call this. Maybe being with you. And, but, hey, Tracy.
Hey, thanks, Laurie.